Jan is a self-made man. He sort of exemplifies all those traits that we see in an entrepreneur. He started, I think, in the poultry industry in a processing plant with Marjack years ago, and of course left Marjack and started his own business from scratch. And I think that's the kind of people we want to recognize in junior achievement as a true entrepreneur.
Jan's a risk taker and an entrepreneur. There's two ways to take risk. You take it and fail, and you take it and you're successful. And I think Jan has earned this recognition because when he takes a risk, he generally is successful. As a business person, you know, Jan Cooley did three things I think extremely well. One is he had a vision and he had a goal, and he never took his eye off that goal. And the second thing he did is he surrounded himself with good people. There's an old saying that you don't have to have all the answers, but you need to go where to go find them. And I think that's the philosophy that Jan took. The other thing that Jan did extremely well was he got down into the weeds of the business. And one of the things I think is lacking in American business today is that they don't know how to control cost. Jan Cooley knows how to control cost.
We had a single mother in the church, this was over 10 years ago, that had her 6-year-old son named Drake diagnosed with cancer. One day she called us. She was on her way to get the chemotherapy treatments, and her car had broken down. She was struggling. It felt like her world was caving in. Jan heard about it. He said, tell me about this young lady, and I told the story. And he said, well, here's what I want to do. He said, I want you to get a new van, put a DVD in it, buy all the movies that the kid can watch while he's being driven to Atlanta to get his chemotherapy treatments, and then I want to know all of her other debts. This guy, he said, I don't want anything said about it in the congregation other than it's an anonymous giver. The kid, Drake, is now a teenager doing fantastic. They're in another city, in another place, but she never did know who did that for.
Jan is a real family man, and he spends a lot of time with his family, and his family's meaningful to him.
He has a lovely wife. He's a good family person. He's a doting grandfather.
Those grandchildren are the joy of Jan and Betty's life. You talk about those grandchildren and they'll light up.
There's an old saying that behind every successful man there's a good woman, and the reverse is true. I think if you ask Jan, he would say that Betty Cooley is that woman to him. In her own right, she's a good business person. And I think if you ask Jan, he'll tell you they collaborate a lot on things, and they work well together. It was a lucky day for Jan Cooley when he met Betty.
I think when you want to grow, you have to associate higher. You know, you have to get around people who've been successful, people who've done things that you dream of doing, you know, on a larger level. And Jan began to challenge me about dreaming, about believing, and that we could do even more as a church and even reach out more to this community.
You know, Jan would be the kind of individual that any city would welcome because of not only his involvement in the community, but his philanthropy. He understands the need to be politically involved.
Jan is someone who I've watched him, and from a personal standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, that man he's grown every year.
And the thing about Jan is it's not just a little here and a little there, but they truly are consistently giving and helping hurting people.
Those things all make him a good man. He's very involved in his church. He's very giving. I just think the world of him.
I'm so proud of Jan, so proud of, you know, the dream that and the courage that he had to step out and go for it. And now not just to be blessed, but to be a blessing back to thousands and thousands of people in this community and quite frankly, around the world.
Jan is a very thoughtful person. He's a very giving person. He understands the need to give back to the community, and I think that's another trait that makes him an outstanding entrepreneur.
He has worked hard. You know, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And Jan is a person who works very hard, and it makes him very lucky. He has done a good job providing jobs for this community. He deserves the award, no doubt about it.